Getting your business to a final exit does require a skilled professional team. On this video, we're going to talk exactly about who you need to have on your team as you approach the exit process. Now, if you're a small business owner, you may be thinking about using a local business broker. Maybe you go onto websites like BizBuySell or BizBend.com, where small businesses like maybe yours go on and list their deals. Local brokers then buy leads, they contact you, you pick one, and off you go. Those are pretty simple deals, not too complicated. What I'm talking about is an actual team that you may need if your business is producing, let's say 10, 20, 30, $100 million in revenue and you want to get out the door. And whether or not that is you should know how those people operate, how those businesses operate when it comes time to buy businesses or sell businesses. Very often there's multiple parties involved, very experienced teams, lots of knowledge and information and wisdom is getting shared from people that you bring in. The other side, the person who's going to buy you or sell to you, they also have teams of people. And your teams, their teams, they start interacting. So who are these people? First and foremost, as you might imagine, you're going to want someone on the financial side of the table, a CPA, an accountant. Most likely, if your deal is sizable, let's say 10 million plus, 20, 30, kind of upwards from there. Yeah, you're going to want a CPA on deck, someone to do audited financials or maybe reviewed financials. Again, it just depends on what the other party is looking for, but you're going to want to make sure that at least your last 3 years of tax returns are done, filed, and nice and tidy. That person can also give you additional advice about tax implications of the sale, post-sale. So just know who you have on your team, their depth, their experience, and ask them a question straight up. Have you ever gone through this process before? Can you help me in this arena? Once we have our financial piece covered, that's really going to give us the foundation, the paperwork, again, making sure everything's nice and tight, your tax filings, and then also, your books, are your books up to date? If I were to look at your future revenues, your projections, this is where sometimes you bring in maybe a management consultant, someone who's really good with building out financial projections. They're telling a financial story of your business that may or may not be your CPA. Maybe a management consultant sits down with your executive team, sits down with your business development team, your sales and marketing team, and we start talking about revenue, lifetime value, cost to acquire customers, and then building out some kind of roadmap. So for whoever's going to buy you, they're going to want to say, how are we going to grow this thing? And again, they're going to do their own due diligence, but if you absolutely have your own due diligence done in advance, it's very helpful in moving the needle forward and getting these transactions over the line. And just think about if you're going to buy a business, and let's say they're producing $25 million worth of revenue, and you're thinking, I need to get a return on my money here in the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to want some sense of how that business is going to continue to grow and build. And you're going to want that in some documentation, maybe a financial model, some projections or what have you. You're going to want to look at the customer list, customer diversification, all of that. Again, that may or may not be your CPA. That most likely is going to be a management consultant working with your team to put all that information together so that you're presentable when you go out to market. Next to that, you're going to have legal. So you'll want to have legal counsel. There's plenty of documents here to be reviewed. It's not just the final purchase agreement, it's your operating agreements, it's your shareholder agreements, maybe a review of the minutes. I mean, you don't know. Maybe you've had litigation in the past that's unsettled. You're going to want to have an attorney on deck who knows M&A, who knows your business and can actually look at the entire framework of what you have going on and say, give you the stamp of approval and say, okay, this thing is ready to be sold, purely from a legal standpoint. Not from a financial, what's happening with the existing financials or the future financials, but just the legal component. It's really important to have an attorney that you trust, someone on deck that can look and find all the landmines and look around and see anything that could be dangers or trappings for you in the deal. Because a lot of stuff gets hidden and buried in the detail. They say the devil's in the details. So you want to make sure that you have an M&A attorney or an attorney who knows business transactions and has gone down this rodeo a few times, because they're ultimately going to be able to help you the most versus attorney who doesn't have any experience in the space. So that person will be on your team. Next is you're going to want a financial advisor. Now, why a financial advisor? Well, you're about to get a big fat paycheck. And what are you going to do with that money? How's it going to get allocated? What are the tax implications and the capital gains? Are you going to have enough to retire, or do you need to keep working? Do you want to allocate this into different assets in your portfolio? How are you going to diversify, protect your estate? Do you have a trust and wills and all of this set up? A good financial advisor will be able to work with you to make sure that everything is nice and tight before you sell. And then after you sell, they can help you determine what to do with this bevy of cash that you now have at your disposal. Maybe you want to make riskier investments from this point forward or start a fund. Again, think about who's going to be on that post-sale team as well. You have to start thinking about, well, what am I going to do with this cash once I'm done? The obvious place to look is your financial advisor. Chances are, if you're highly successful running a multi-million-dollar enterprise, you already have a financial advisor. I recommend sitting down with them and just saying, hey, I have this business. It's probably 50 to 80% of my net worth is tied up in this thing. If I sell it, what do I do with the proceeds? And get their thoughts, get their take, get their feedback, and use that input to help you make a decision. Now, also on your team, you may have business partners, so naturally they need to be on board. You may have spouses, and your business partners may have spouses. They're going to need to be on board because there's more than just the cash that's being produced from the business. There's a whole identity component. There's a time component. What are we going to do when we sell? Maybe this team is ready to sell, but this team's not. Maybe your business partner is ready to go, but you might not be ready. So you have to have these conversations way earlier before you ever get to that point where you say, okay, we're ready to go. But that is part of your team. And then the last component of this, and there could be more, but it would be your executive team, because at some point they're going to need to be let into the fact that you're going to sell this business. Maybe they're the ones approaching you to buy the business. That's possible, and that's very common. But your executive team is a huge component because whoever's buying this business is going to need your executive team to stay in place so they can continue to run and build and grow the business. Now, they may not keep 100% of everyone on the executive team, but chances are they'll keep the majority of them because they have proprietary information, intellectual capital that's going to help keep this thing moving in the direction it needs to go. The final piece of this is having a broker. So whenever your deal is ready to go to market and it's packaged and it's nice and tight, you want someone to take it out there and build an auction process, help get your valuation higher, and then help negotiate the final transaction to get you the best deal. So as a recap, you're going to want a CPA, financial advisor, management consultant, an attorney, your business partners on board, your executive team on board, and a broker. So now we're looking at 7+ folks. And as you start putting this whole piece together, you start to realize that, yeah, this is more than just one simple broker who's going to help you get the deal. And keep this in mind. The person who's looking to buy your business most likely has their team as well. They might have 5 or 6 people. So by the time you get into this transaction, you're gonna have a lot of cooks in the kitchen. And this is why 70% of deals do not get done. It's because there are a lot of cooks in the kitchen. So you have to make your mind up. Do you want to get a deal done? If you do, stay the course and stay focused and you will get something over the line. But you have to block out the noise, and there's gonna be a lot of good advice and a lot of random advice and a lot of, I don't know what to do with this information coming at you, and it's gonna come at you fast. So know what your deal breakers are, know what's going to move the needle for you. And whenever you're ready to go, then hit the go button. It's what you've been doing your entire career. It's why you're successful. It's why you got to where you're at today, and you can pull this off. The great news is there's a treasure chest on the other end when you're successful here. So if you're looking to sell your business, you want support, you want to continue talking about this, leave me a note, put something in the comment. If you want to hear additional information like this, I'll put my contact information. You can shoot me an email and we can keep the conversation going. More than happy to put you in contact with anyone I know in my ecosystem or support your deal directly. And we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.